Hello, welcome to Red Book Joy. Today I'm talking about picture books. If you're new to the channel, I'm Jack, and if you're not new, welcome back to Red Book Joy. And if you're not new, you'll know that I am running a picture book readathon for the second year with my wonderful friend Shelly Swearingen, who is one of the best booktubers out there. She's a gorgeous person, delightful human being, and she knows a ton about picture books, and she was a perfect partner when we started running this last year. So we both have a huge love of picture books, and we are running the Picture This readathon, and I'm going to leave all of my original announcement video stuff and prompts in the description box below. I hadn't done a TBR for my own sort of reading because life has been really busy, and people have been putting out their TBRs, and I've got a huge pile of picture books, which are my pile of possibilities. I'm going to read all of them because they're picture books. It's not like, you know, they're going to take me a huge amount of time to read, but I have got books that I bought and books that I borrowed from the library and some older picture books from my collection that I want to get back into for Picture This. And there are 6 prompts for Picture This. So they're all one-word prompts, and the one-word prompts that Shelly came up with are silly, funny and pink. And my prompts are movement, hope and yellow. So we always pick a couple of colour prompts, which is always quite nice. And you can interpret these prompts in any way you choose. You can talk about movement in the sense of journeys, or movement in the sense of physical body movement. You can talk about the movement in the artwork, the way that, you know, how much movement there is in the pictures, in the style of the art, that kind of thing. So you can interpret this in any way you choose. We're very open to people interpreting these prompts any way they like, and you don't have to read 6 books, you don't have to read 4 books, you can just read 1 picture book and you'll be taking part. The other prompt, which is a challenge really that we're really excited about to see people doing, is to do a deep dive or author illustrator spotlight. So an illustrator spotlight, so that is when you look at the work of one author, illustrator or just illustrator, and you can look through their body of work, or as many books of theirs as you can find, because sometimes it's difficult to get all of the books. Picture books can be expensive and libraries don't have all of them, and just to do a spotlight on them, which means, you know, go through their work, and if you have a channel, put a video out about your journey with their work and what you've discovered and what you loved about it and that kind of thing. So yeah, Shelly and I both like doing that in general, so we've put that in as a challenge for everybody this year. Also, if you want to take part, there's a Picture This tag, which we're not doing this year because we did it last year, but feel free to do it. It is fun. It's not, the prompts are related to picture books, but the answers don't have to be about picture books. They can be about absolutely anything. So yes, that's my Picture This introduction. So I've got a big pile of picture books over here, some that I bought, actually one that I was sent recently, and some that I picked up at the library. So what I'm going to do, rather than go through the prompts and say which books fit the prompts, I'm going to show you the books and tell you which prompts they fit, if that makes sense, because some of them fit multiple prompts. So I'm going to switch from this camera angle so you can see top down what these books are, because they're so beautiful. They deserve, rather than me holding them up and you looking at me, they deserve you to look at the actual covers. I'm not going to flick through them all entirely, but I might do a quick flick through of a few of them. But I think some of them will be getting reviews up on the channel once I've finished them. And yeah, so here we go, let's get into it. I won't talk about them in too much detail because otherwise we'll be here all day, because there's a huge pile next to me. But one of the books is My Beautiful Voice by Joseph Quayler, who was the Children's Laureate and is a poet, and Alison Colpoys, and it's a story of a child who is terrified to take part in a recital at school, and their teacher who supports them and brings them out of it. Just look at these beautiful pictures, and I think definitely fits the prompt of pink, and I think it also fits the prompt of hope, but yellow and pink and these beautiful bright colours in here. I just love this vivid details and designs of this book. Another book I picked up, which was I Am Not a Princess. It's one of the Waterstones Children's Book of the Year finalists, and it's by Rachel Davis and Beatrix Hatcher, and it is a story all about being proud to be yourself. And this is a frog who has decided that they don't want to be a prince, because everyone expects them to be a prince at some point and turn into a prince, and they don't want to be a prince. And this is one of my Trans Girl April crossover TBR books, and it fits the prompt of yellow and also hope as well, I think. So yeah, it's absolutely a lovely book. Look at the gorgeous illustrations in it. This is one I was just sent. It's a finalist for the UK Literacy Association Children's Book Awards, and it's Small's Big Dream, and it is by Manjeet Mann and illustrated by Amanda Quarte, and it is all about a child called Small who has small everything but big dreams. So of course this is going to fit the yellow prompt, lots of pink in the book, but also hope. This is another Waterstones finalist. If you want to see some great content on the Waterstones Children's Book of the Year finalists, the picture books, go over to my friend Gemma's channel, Gem of Books. She's got a great video on that where she reads them with her son and they rate them, and yeah, it's really, really fantastic. But this is just beautiful. Look at it. What do you see when you look at a tree? By Emma Carlisle, and absolutely gorgeous images of nature and people enjoying nature and the different types of trees and appreciation of trees, and lots of different questions asking us how we appreciate trees. I just thought it was lovely. Again, I think this also fits my prompt of hope, because what's more hopeful than a tree and plants and nature and things growing? And here we have The Station Cat, which is the last of the Waterstones children's finalists that I've got to show you. I've not finished reading it yet. I've started reading it, but I've not finished, and it is just beautiful. All about a cat who comes into these people's lives, and it's a very grey, dull place where there's lots of sadness and no colour, and the cat brings it in. I mean, there are deeper messages here which I'll talk about when I do my wrap up or do a review of the book, but we've got a little bit of hope coming in, and also all these marvellous colours, the pinks, the yellows, being brought back into this place. So beautiful, isn't it? And I picked this up just because one of my favourite illustrators, John Classen, he wrote this series with Mac Barnett, who, John Classen is a Canadian picture book author, very, very famous, really amazing, very quirky, very funny, very humorous, and I just absolutely love his work. And he's got a series called the Shape series. It's basically the Shape Trilogy, I think it's called, and this book is about circle, and the book is about circles, friends, triangle and square, and triangle and square have their own books as well, and it's really it's just the humour in these books. I just absolutely adore them. I think Alice over at Alice and Giant Bookshelf is doing a deep dive into John Classen's work, and I kind of did a few recommendations for his work last year, which I will post a link to in the description box below when I did my recommendations for Picture This last year. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Look at these illustrations, and I can't believe I didn't say this fits the prompts of silly and funny, as you can see from the pictures. This one is The Dam. This is not a new purchase for me. I bought this last year and I'm rereading it for Picture This because it fits in with People April, which is a biography and memoir and autobiography readathon being hosted by Roz at Skylar Daniel about the books and Elizabeth from Booktube and Books. And this fits in nicely because it's a memoir of this lovely moment. Catherine Tickell and her father, who are folk musicians in Northumberland in the north of England. Is it Tickell or Tickell? I'm not sure. I'm sure it's pronounced Tickell probably. But they played their music to the Kielder Valley just before it was flooded, to the empty houses, to sort of leave music and song there where people used to play music and song before it was flooded to make way for a dam. So yeah, this is a beautiful book. Levi Pinfold is an amazing illustrator, and this is just a very poignant, beautiful story written. Words are absolutely beautiful by David Almond, and the images by Levi Pinfold are just so striking and absolutely stunning. And this for me ties in with movement as well as hope. So next I went to the library and I just picked this up because it's so pink, and I just thought of Shelly's prompt Pink when I saw it, and it has a cat and a dog and cherry blossoms, and they're just I just love the picture on the front, and I haven't I've had a flick through of it, and it's just this beautiful, simple, gentle illustration style, and I think it's a really gentle story as well, but I'm going to look at it properly when I do my reading. But it's so cute, and it really fits Shelley's prompt of pink, and it says, one day a cat and a dog meet on a bench. The cat eats her lunch, the dog reads his book, but the sun twinkles, the breeze blows, and there's something sweet in the air, which is very cute. But yeah, how cute is this book? So here's a nice book that fits the prompts that I got specifically for the prompts of silly and funny, but also fits yellow, and it's The Steves by Morag Hood, and I picked this up from the library. I wanted more Morag Hood, but unfortunately I think she's very popular, so this was the only one that they had in the library. But Morag Hood writes delightfully hilarious picture books which are beloved, well beloved by children, very young children, and the adults that read them to them. So this one is about the Steves who argue over which one of them is Steve. They're both Steve, and this book is not big enough for the two of them. Very cute. And for the prompt of pink and for the prompt of movement, I picked up Julian at the Wedding. I wanted to share with you my own picture book collection, but it's still in storage because I'm moving at some point and my stuff's all in storage. So I was determined to include Julian at the Wedding as part of this readathon, because we've got this gorgeous illustrations by Jessica Love, which I just fall in love with every time I read them, and they're just so stunning, and I love this. This is the follow-up to Julian is a Mermaid, which was a fantastic book when it came out, and the follow-up is just as good. I absolutely love it. So Julian goes to the wedding of his two aunties. So he's the page boy, there's a flower girl, and look at what I love. This is why I thought about movement, because the movement all the way through of the leaves and the flowers and the petals, all the way through this gorgeous book. It's just a stunning story. And they take themselves off under this willow tree, and they use the willow tree to become a fairy house, and then they get changed, they change their clothes with each other, they swap outfits and all sorts of things. I just love this book so much, but it's just the movement of the pictures and the willow tree around them, and it just made me think of that. Also, we've got pink as well. It's kind of like a coral, more of a coral or a peachy. I don't think in the camera it doesn't come out as pink, but I always think of it as pink, which is the first book that popped into my head when we thought of the word pink, and I thought of movement as well. I just love the movement of the plants in this book. At the library I also picked up a copy of this, I couldn't resist it, The Suitcase by Chris Naylor Ballesteros, and this is about movement but also about hope, and there's a lot of yellow because you've got this wonderful yellow rabbit who's kind of the voice of reason in this story. It's been many years since I read it, and I will do a review of this one because I think it's a really important book. A stranger arrives with only a suitcase and everyone is full of questions and suspicion, and of course it's a story about people arriving and people having to have gone through an awful lot to get to where they're going and to be welcoming to strangers, and it's full of hope. So we've got, it fits movement, it fits hope, it fits yellow, and yeah, it's just a really poignant story. I also picked up this and I was drawn to it because it's by Aaron Becker, who's one of my favourite children's book illustrators and has done one of my all-time favourite series, the Journey Quest Return, the series of wordless picture books, which I will hopefully at some point do a video on. And I was hoping if I had more Aaron Becker I would do a deep dive into Aaron Becker, but this is, I believe it's a story of grief, and it's another wordless picture book. Because it's called a Stone Versace, can you see which prompt I thought it would fit? There's the stone, it's yellow, the yellow stone. So I was hoping that this would fit that prompt, and I thought maybe I'd do a deep dive into Aaron Becker, but they didn't have any more Aaron Becker. So those are just some of the books I picked up for Picture This. The other ones that I didn't feature are because I'm hoping to do illustrator spotlights on each of them. I picked out two sets of books from favourite illustrators. I was hoping to discover new to me illustrators, but I haven't had as much time to research as I wanted to, though the month is still young. But I've picked out some books by illustrators of mine that have been favourites for years. I wasn't able to get their entire back catalogue, and I don't think it's important to do that because I wouldn't want to encourage anybody, unless you had the money and the inclination to go out and buy an entire back catalogue of an author's work, unless you felt you could, because Picture This should be this kind of accessible readathon. So I have a lot of my books are in storage. Some of my picture books are not in storage, some of them are, and I decided that I wasn't going to spend too much money on picture books this year because we're moving house. So whatever I wanted to do my author spotlight on had to have enough books at the library, and I found a couple of my favourite illustrators and at least 3 or 4 of their books. So I will go through those and do an individual author's spotlight for those, and that will be coming soon. So do you like the look of any of these? Have you read any of them? Have you heard of these authors or illustrators before? Are you taking part in Picture This? And if so, what are you reading for it? Let's get into it in the comments. Hopefully I will see you again here soon. Bye.